Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is the third webinar by the Gem Color Academy, the educational arm of Gemewizard. In our past webinars, we talked about grading and pricing of colored stones and colored diamonds. Today, we're going to show you another capability of our research and development department, which is market analysis. And we are going to talk about color trends in gemstones. We are going to talk about what we had before the current COVID-19 situation, what is happening now, and also we will try to assess what will happen after the recovery of the world from this catastrophe. My name is Guy Bornstein. I'm the VP Gemological Services of Gemewizard. Together with me today are Menachem Sevdermish, the CEO and founder of Gemewizard. Menachem, say hello to everyone.
Hello to everybody all around the world.
And also together with us, Gary Roskin, the Executive Director of the ICA, International Colored Stone Association.
Hi, folks.
I would add here that a part of the Executive Director, I will always remember you as the editor of the Roskin Gem News.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes. Together with us is also Kobe Sevdermish. He is going to join in a minute. He just was stuck in traffic, and he will be with here, I believe, in a couple of minutes or something like that. Okay, so before dive into to the webinar, I will just mention that currently we have 260 users together with us. Here, Kobe just joined us. Hi, Kobe.
Hi.
So again, we have 260 participants in the room. Thank you, all of you, for joining us today. What we are going to talk today is about the market analysis, and we will start by explaining a little bit how we are doing it in Gemewizard. What is the technology that we are using, and how we are analyzing this big data, this vast amount of information. And after that, we will share with you our insights before, during, and after COVID-19. At the end, we will have the Q&A session where you can try to challenge our panelists. I would ask you all, although we have the feature of raise hand, we are not monitoring it. Please keep your questions to the end, and we will be happy to answer whatever we can. Okay, so we are starting by explaining a little bit about the Gemewizard concept. This is always, I think, the favorite part on Menachem. So I will take you the lead here to explain step by step how we are doing it.
Yes, what we did is we took close to about 500,000 images of gemstones, and we created an algorithm that changed each one of these images, never mind what shape it was, into a round 3D simulated by our computer. Each one of the facets was copied, and some of them were put in place in the round. And from that 3D round, we created a 2D images of all the shapes in the same, practically the same color. And that means we created almost 500,000 what we call rulers, which are exactly the same color, but in different shapes. And we showed it to the GIA in 2003. And together with the GIA, we put them around what we call the color space, and it was fine-tuned with them to be in the precisely place where they believe were these colors according to their color space. So in fact, we digitized an existing GIA system in a way that nobody has done it before. Okay. Now, very quickly, we realized with the GIA that we need to have a record of each one of these many colors. And we created what is called the analyzer, where each image of the Gemewizard is analyzed, and the DNA of that image, it's like the fingerprint. The DNA of each image is measured, where the average color, the dominant color, and the secondary color is measured. That means we had, in fact, placed all these colors around the space of colors, many thousands of colors, to have the borders in a way that we can now analyze each image that we meet and find the color that is the closest Gemewizard color according to a very clever analysis system that we did, which also uses an algorithm, and compare each one of these colors to the area where this color exists. That means it's not only a certain color, you have to know where are the borders for such particular color. So we created this analysis system. Okay, Guy, you can take it from there, I think.
Okay. So, just to show a little bit what Menachem just explained, we can see here the 31 main views that are the same 31 used by the GIA in their color space system, starting from 1, which is red, and going counterclockwise until we're getting back to 31, which is slightly purplish red. Now, each one of these colors, sorry, let's go like that. Let's, for example, take, I don't know, let's take a ruby.
Ruby is a good idea.
Now, each one of these colors that we've seen, the 31 main hues, is subdivided into a tone and saturation combination. We can see everything moving here with the tone from the lightest to the darkest and from the palest to the deepest. Each one is exactly measured and according to the survey that we did. What we actually did, we start scraping the net and trying to see what we see. To record information, textual information is something that is known for years. But to scrap an image and identify the exact color of the gem within the jewel is something that is unique, very unique. So we could combine these two technologies together, and by that, creating kind of a survey to see what is offering now on the net in its particular color, in its specific properties, and the price that's being offered. And when you are covering a lot of information like this, and we are talking about above $300 million of goods being tested every moment on the net, we can create this matrix of grades that going from the lower grade, in this case we have A here, until we are getting to gem, and even can point on where is pigeon blood and where is vivid red.
Okay.
Now, all this information was gathered together to what we called big data definition. Now, what is exactly big data? So when we are building a database, we are going from the small building blocks. We are taking each gem, a record, and adding it to the database. In big data, we're actually doing this the opposite way. we are taking this pyramid and put it upside down. We are taking all the building blocks together and trying to resort them, trying to reorganize them and analyze some hidden patterns inside, so we can identify market trend and we can identify some useful information, which I can tell you from experience that we did quite a big survey for a world-leading website, and the market admin there was not aware of the insight that we discovered through this methodology. So in just several words, what we did is that we took the information from 3 different sources. The big data extraction, we are talking about 20 million online gem records and thousands of gemological reports that accompany some of them. We also verified all the information that we took digitally with expert opinions to see that we are not talking BS. We are talking only about things that really happens in the market, and we found great correlation between them. And also we looked for the information about when the record was recorded and from where around the world to identify geographical location and seasonal trends. All of this together, when we are adding them into one area, we can actually map and show exactly this is the gem, this is the exact color, and it happens right now, and this is what currently happened. And to give you some numbers about the ability of our database, we're talking about $4 billion of diamonds, colorless to near colorless diamonds that are offered at several virtual exchanges. Also $400 million of colored diamonds from virtual exchanges and from company sites, and 100 million of colored stones offered for sale at company sites and marketplaces. Everything is being scanned by permission and allows us to see amazing information inside. Now, how we actually take this information and reveal it. So let's start by looking at the big gem data. We collected all of this together, and now we are looking only on one record inside, the gem, a specific gem. Now, this record is built from several attributes. It could be, for example, color, clarity, size, measurement, geographical location, price. Whatever we can record, we are saving everything. And then we're trying to take 1, 2, or sometimes even 3 attributes together. And now trying to find more gems that comply to the same results that we see for this first gem with this combination. And then we can identify some insights regarding trends. For example, this color is now being offered for higher prices, and there is a big demand, and we see more sales of it, etc. These gems are now less in demand in specific area around the world, etc. Now, until now, we talked about theory, some, vague examples. Now let's deep dive into the insights that we found, and we are starting from the era before COVID-19. We are talking about the full year of 2019 and the first quarter of 2020. And the first color, it's not something that we discovered, we just monitored its effect, was the revelation of a Pantone color of the year for the year of 2020. And the color that was chosen by Pantone is called in their alphanumeric code 194052, or in verbal description, classic blue. Using the sampler technology that Menachem just showed you, we converted this color to a Gemewizard code and GIA color definition, which is, in Gemewizard, it's called 2102 5x6. In GIA, it's called medium vivid, very slightly greenish blue. And for this particular color, we identified 3 gem varieties that are being offered now, not now, during 2020, during 2019 and beginning of 2020, with more demand. And the first one is sapphire. It's quite easy to guess, also a very classic blue stone. And the second is indicolite, tourmaline, especially the bluer colors, less greenish colors. And topaz, the irradiated varieties, mainly what's called in the trade Swiss and London types. Kobe, would you like, as a gem expert and also a CEO of a gem company, to give us some information about the sales of such stones? You are muted, Kobe.
Hi. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, I found this year that we have been selling quite a bit of the
Kobe, we lost you for a moment.
Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I found that we were selling quite a bit of blue spinels, whether it's from Burma or Tanzania, but we were selling quite a bit of blue spinels, and there was quite a big demand for all the lagoon tourmaline, the blue-green tourmaline that was showing up in the market. We found that it's in very high demand. It's basically, I believe it's like a replacement or like a side color for the sapphires, the blue sapphires, that sometimes people cannot afford the prices of sapphires, so they go for replacements such as aquamarine, tanzanite, and spinel or tourmaline. The thing is, the colors are not exactly the classic blue, but there was a big demand for those colors, what I saw this year up to now and the end of 2019. This is what I saw in the market.
Thank you, Kobe.
Do some dramatic supply of those things in Tucson specifically.
Thank you very much. Gary, I would like also to hear some of your comments, especially about how the market in general react to the Pantone colors.
It's when you talk to the ICA members, you find out that they really do focus on the big 3, the emerald, ruby, sapphire, and of course with Pantone coming out with their blue color of the year, everybody's focused on sapphire. But like Kobe and yourself have mentioned, tourmalines, the indicolites, the topaz, and we also have a few members who are dealing in the zircon, the Cambodian material. Campbellite is one of the marketing names. Yeah, absolutely fabulous color. Supply is what's keeping those stones back from being listed like sapphire, tourmaline, and topaz. There's just not that much of the material, and so you don't see it as a big marketing effort like sapphire, of course.
Yes. Just to give it a little bit more in depth, I would like to show our attendees today where is this classic blue color when we're talking about. So let's go, for example, on blue sapphire to explain it, will be better. And if we are looking on the value chart again, we are looking on the 31 main use. And this is the areas where blue sapphire can be found. Usually, most of the trade is used to see these colors, the violetish, slightly violetish blue color, the ink blue, usually associated with Sri Lanka and with Myanmar. In classic blue, we are actually talking more about these two colors. And if we are looking at it, we are aiming to this area, to the medium tone, but highly saturated colors, all of this area. Usually they are known by the name vivid blue. In some cases, they are even can get into what's called by some laboratories, deep cornflower blue.
I think that what happened also, that there is a lot of popularity with a touch of greenish also in the sapphire.
Yes, we will get into that very soon. Another trend that we identified was actually a trend that started in 2018, but its main effect was at the beginning of 2019. And we are talking about the royal wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan. And as part of the wedding, Prince Harry gave Meghan a present from his mother's collection, which was a ring with a very attractive aquamarine inside. And the deep color of this aquamarine immediately raised an effect of more sales, more demand for aquamarine of Santa Maria colors. Santa Maria, just for those of you that are not aware of it, it's the name of a famous mine that produced a very deep, unusual, deep colors of aquamarine. And this became a kind of a nickname for every aquamarine around the world that's giving these unusual deep colors. They are usually called Santa Maria or Santa Maria-like colors. Kobe, as one that is dealing with aquamarines, can you please elaborate how did you felt this trend? You are again muted.
Hi. Well, aquamarine has always been, first of all, one of my favorite stones, but it has always been in a relatively steady demand, although there was a peak, like I would say about 10 years ago, there was a great demand for aquamarine. Then for some reason, it stopped for several years. The demand was low. From what I've seen, but over the last year, I believe, it really increased. I think that also production from Madagascar of really intense, beautiful material, I think that also gave the right grounds for supplying the demand. Brazil had difficulty with production, but they did manage to also provide quite nice material. But I think the Madagascar material was really the one that brought everything back to the market and to the supply chain and to the store eventually. But definitely the royal wedding was a reason
game changer.
Yeah, a game changer, yes. But
thank you. Menachem, I would like you to one moment wear your gem cutter hat and explain a little bit why you can't find too many aquamarine gems that's showing such a deep color, even when you are trying to concentrate it.
Well, first of all, generally, aquamarines are not of deep color. You have really, literally hundreds of kilos around the world of mediocre quality, very, very light aquamarine that have got some kind of demand. And as Kobe said, there was always a little demand around and people use aquamarine. Recently, the basic color of the aquamarine that came out of South Nigeria and Mozambique and a lot from Madagascar, suddenly the basic color was deeper and surprisingly deeper. And not only that, you didn't really have to manipulate the shape or the cutting of the stone to get the real color. You know, sometimes you add some facets in order to collect more color. But in the case of, for example, Madagascar, most of the stone didn't even need heating because usually they heat slightly the aquamarine to remove the greenish hue, etc. And in a lot of these gems, there was no need to remove. And what we saw with Kobe and with others, we saw a tremendous amount of stones, and we were sure that because of the amount of stones, the price will slide down. No, there was a very big demand, and in fact, this was one of the highest selling items, I think, in Tucson, and also before in Hong Kong. Somehow, this paler blue, you know, more delicate water-like or sea-like color is very much in demand. And in fact, you don't have to be such a, big cutter. When you have these colors, whatever you'll do with it, it'll look good.
Thank you. I would like also Gary to give us a little bit different view. We talked about the Pantone color, which is actually a kind of an external command that the market is getting from a color authority. But here we have a kind of a trend that starts from the market itself. Can you elaborate a little bit about it?
Well, you have several things going on here, especially with this particular aquamarine. You've got the royals involved, and anytime you have the royals involved, you get a peak happening. And if somebody comes into a retail shop, for example, and is looking for aquamarine, and they're not really satisfied with that, the retail jeweler flips to another royal and says, "What about this?" And so they're looking at any royalty. We're talking about celebrities included in this. So whether it's a sports celebrity or a theater celebrity or a movie celebrity, they can move from one to another. So when you have, for example, Pantone comes out with their color of the year, yes, the market really focuses on those colors, but you'll also get a lot of complementary colors involved. When Pantone comes out with the color of the year, we're talking about how you're dressed. What's going to go with how you're dressed may not be that actual color because it may blend with everything else, but it may be the complementary color. So the ICA members really don't specifically focus on that particular color. They focus on what's available. And I think that the designers, the jewelry designers, also look to see what's available and what's affordable. And that way they can create a line of jewelry without breaking the bank. I think there's a lot going on here, more than just a particular color.
Agree. I would just add here that if we are looking on the previous common trend, similar trend that we see, that was in the first royal wedding of his big brother, Prince William, I believe that some of this trend started by the jeweler themselves. They are not waiting for anyone. They are trying to ride the wave before it will go without them.
Exactly. They're looking to see what is going to be popular, and they jump right on it with marketing to bring people in. That's exactly right.
The next trend that we identified, and it was quite a big trend and a big change for the way the market thinks and acts, was regarding gray colors. And when we started looking at it, it was very surprising because until 5 years ago, gray was a big no-no color for designers. But now we see much more young designers, especially the young designers, that are looking for things that are bold, things that are new, things that are a little bit crossing the traditional borders. And these gray shades that are playing in all different colors, you can see above here, the violet, the pink, the green, also blue, all of these are very strong. We see them in, especially with gray colored spinel, usually from the Mahenge area in Tanzania. We see also many gray sapphires and black sapphires that are being offered right now, and also some colored tanzanites that are with a gray shade on them. Until a few years ago, they are considered as a rejection. Today, they are being marketed with attractive nicknames, lavender, silver, metallic. But one very interesting thing that we discovered about this trend, that it's always been offered in pairs or sets, not as an individual stone, only as a part of a set. Kobe, would you like to add some? Menachem, please, take the lead.
Okay. I just wanted to say, you know, we've been traveling to Africa for the last 40 years. If I would have been offered rough to produce these colors, even 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I would have kicked it out of the parcels, because this would have been a certain loss. Nobody would buy these colors. This would have been rejections. And suddenly, in the last, let's say, I think it started about 10 years, correct me if I'm wrong, people started asking more and more gray in stones. And this was really crazy, because the grayer the stone, the better it ended up to be, especially in big demand, and especially with the young designers, as Gary said, and the millennials. And I think that, Kobe, you can elaborate what really happened with these grays in spinels, etc.
Well, gray spinels, first of all, it doesn't only come from the Mahenge, as you said, Mahenge area. Also, the Burmese have very nice gray spinels. Now, what is nice about the gray spinel, that it became so popular, is that gray can come from each direction of a color. It can come from either from the purplish side, from the pink side, from the bluer
all
side.
the shades.
All the shades, exactly. So there's such a variety of gray spinel, and really, as Menachem said, suddenly it became so popular, and it's just so difficult to match the stones for people that order the thing. You know, they can find any gray they want. It's so difficult as to be focused. But we find it very, very fun playing with those colors, because they match with any other given color, and you can play with it, make designs, make sets. That's why I think the designers, the jewelry manufacturers, find it so favorable. Those colors, they can add it to any of their collection.
Thank
There
you.
are several examples of gem materials that were not popular, and you could, like Menachem said, kick them out of the parcel. And then 10 years later, all of a sudden, they're a big fad. And if you look, it's a material that is available, it's affordable, and the beginning jewelry designers, or even the senior jewelry designers, look at these and go, I can make a line of jewelry with this material. For example, take Baroque pearls. I know we're talking color here, but take Baroque pearls. They were a mistake. They were trying to make round, and they became one of those things that got kicked out of the parcel. And then jewelry designers started making jewelry with them because they were affordable. Now, after they figured out how to fix the mistake, and they're making more rounds than Baroques, Baroques are very popular because of the designers, but now they're not affordable. So you have this in every gem material, and it's interesting to hear it from the other side, from the colored stones section as well.
Yes, it's like a Cinderella story.
Yes.
Okay,
Let's
so
go.
when we are talking about gray, we are not really talking about color. And to explain it, I will dive back into the Gemi price to show you exactly what we are talking about. So let's go, for example, if we mention the spinels, we can go to this fancy colored spinel. This is how they are usually being called in the market. And when we are looking on these colors, one moment, let's just upload. We can see that when we are entering, let's say, for example, we are going to the violetish colors. And inside the violetish colors, when we have a very low saturation and medium to dark tone, this area, we are creating grayish colors. And these colors that were usually unattractive now become a very hot trend. I will show it in another color. It can be found in many shades, all the cold hues, meaning violet, blue, and green shades, and in between, of course. And if we go, for example, to, let's say, this blue color, and we're looking again on the tone and saturation combination, again, you see here the first column, from the medium to the dark tone with almost no saturation inside, we are getting colors that looks very gray. Now, let's move to the next color. The next color trend that we identified is called teal. And teal is, it's not a newcomer, it's actually a kind of a comeback. Teal was very, very in high demand, something like up to 10 years ago. And it was then mainly offered in relation to the Montana sapphires, the Yogo mine in Montana. And it gives a kind of a very unique green-blue mixture of colors inside sapphires. And this mine was closed, and then this trend somehow gradually faded away. But at the end of 2018, the Yogo mine was reactivated under new ownership, and they started a very well marketed and very successful promotion, again, for the colors of the green-blue Montana sapphire. And the teal become, again, very in high demand in the market. Many were looking for it, still looking for it, but the difference from the last time it was like that is that now it's actually reflects on all gems that can create this green-blue trend. Not only the green-blue sapphires, not only Montana. We see them also on green-blue sapphires from other sources. We see them also with greenish indicolites. What Kobe earlier mentioned that are sometimes being offered as lagoon. Lagoon is actually a lighter teal. And also we see it with some dark greenish aquamarine that also being offered under the same nicknames. And it's still in high demand. Gary, would you like to elaborate a little bit about the mine and all the effect it caused?
It kind of caught me off guard there. I know that some of our members are involved with the Montana sites and the Montana materials. You can get a full range of colors from some of the other sites besides Yogo. And a lot of the teal and blue Pantone colors that you mentioned early on, I was looking at that range of color and thinking Montana was probably one of the better sources to get that rainbow effect of sapphires. The other teal that I mentioned before, the blue zircon coming out of Cambodia, really has that tealy color. So it really does sort of fit the picture here. Sorry to go back to the gray, but and I saw Antoinette kick up a question about a gray-black diamond. One of the prettiest stones that I've ever seen was a 10-carat diamond that Lee Siegelson had in Basel about 8 to 10 years ago. And he called me up and he says, "You've got to take a look at this. It's fancy gray." And if, like Menachem said, if you had a gray stone at that period in time, you wouldn't even bother to look at it. I'm glad I didn't look at the certificate, the grading report to say fancy gray, because I probably wouldn't have stopped by his booth. But the stone was cut so beautifully. The dispersion coming out of an emerald cut, plus the fact that it was a gray body color instead of a near colorless body color, really offset the dispersion coming out of the stone. So it's really one of the prettiest stones I've ever seen. So I can certainly understand the trend going towards grayish, especially in the spinels. It just fits with everything going on, affordability, and how much is available.
I want to add, just with your permission, we are talking about Yogo here and Montana sapphires, but we a little bit ignored the Australian amazing mines there with these particular colors that used to be reject, and today they are very much in demand. One of our participants here mentioned Australia and also some places in Africa that this color, natural color things. How gray suddenly became an issue, I really don't know, but it did. And somehow it's in big demand. And that's one of the things we wanted to speak about.
You had mentioned the millennials, and I've got a millennial. I've got a 20-year-old daughter who's down the hall working on online. And it was up until 13 or 14, everything was pink and purple and bright colors. And then all of a sudden the light switch flipped and everything was gray and black and no color.
Monochrome.
Yeah.
So you bought her the 10-carat gray diamond?
I wish I were on that budget.
You should have done it. Okay.
Okay, so when we are talking about teal, we're actually talking about range of colors. They can move from greenish blue colors like this one in the right and until bluish green here on the left. Okay. If we are looking on it through Gemewizard, let's open it. Let's take, for example, indicolite.
Green sapphire, I think.
Let's see, tourmaline blue green.
Tourmaline blue, also good.
So actually, we are talking about this area, running from the slightly bluish green up to the slightly greenish blue. And if I'll go, for example, here in the middle and look on the matrix itself, I can see that actually the colors that are usually associated with teal are this area, the area of the dark tone, highly saturated colors. Those that above them are the ones being offered as lagoon usually, but these are the area of the teal. Now let's move a little bit to more greenish colors, more green. These are still called teal. Now let's move to the bluish colors. One moment.
Oh.
Yeah. Here it is. It's taken a little bit there is a little bit delay probably because of the webinar. So now let's look on one which is a little bit more bluish. And we can find the teal on the same areas. Oh, it's working a little bit slower now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this will be the areas of still the teal colors. Again, in this area, we can also see the grayish colors that we talked about.
Okay, let's continue.
Okay. So the next trend that we see, it's a color trend, but it's not something that we can explain as color. It's actually the new match, and the new match is mismatch, meaning pairs or even sets of colors, usually that they are noticeably different. And there were, until I think few years ago, this was not being considered as something that people will buy, but today, mainly the young generation that looks for the bold, for the unique things, also trying to cross this border, this traditional border, that pair does not need to have the same color. As you can see here in the images, we have here sets of violet and yellowish green, pink and kind of a red, light blue and light pink, aquamarine and morganite in this case, and also very distinct, you can see here, purple and yellow. Kobe, as a supplier for many young designers, can you explain a little bit what exactly drive these designers for, what they are looking for, what they are asking about it?
Well, designers today, it's very difficult to know because I have to tell you, there is no illegitimate color combination. Everything is in the game. So whereas in the past, several years ago, you would find, the regular stuff, combination of multicolors and very trendy stuff. Today, everything, it's all about being new, creating a new trend, bringing a new combination. Mismatching is like the trend thing. So it's very difficult to know what the customer really wants. I have seen that most of the combination that the customers do is a combination where the tone and saturation is very close, whether no matter what color it is, but the tone and saturation is the same. So the match of the so this is what I find, but really there is not each area in the world really have its own set of designs, his own matching of colors, depending on the time of year and the mood of the designer. So the trend is very difficult to know today. That's why it changes all the time with the internet specifically.
Thank you.
I think that also this type of jewelry used to be, especially this mismatch of things, used to be custom jewelry. You know, the jewelry that was supposed to be of lower value, etc. And it was considered, a sideline. Today, I think that this mismatching, as you are calling it, of mainly lighter color for the millennials, and the combination of colors that before was difficult to see, is the trend. What exactly combination of colors is very difficult to know, but a mismatch is certainly describing what we are seeing.
We've seen it. We've seen several of these trends several years back in Basel, we would see multicolored diamond bracelets. And just like Kobe said, if you had the tone and saturation equal, it didn't matter what color, fancy colored diamond was in the bracelet looked fabulous. For those retail jewelers who have extra stones and they decide to throw them all into a mishmash of a necklace, if they didn't pay attention to the tone and saturation, the necklace or the bracelet would not sell. If they figured out the tone and saturation were equal and put it all together, that was a big deal.
Thank you very much. And now we are moving into a different way of looking on it. We also analyzed the demand and the sales of gems according to the geographical location. And we give you just some highlights that we identified. During the past year, in North America, we identified high demand for unique and special gems. Everything that is not traditional, everything that it's different, they are looking more for these special things. On the other hand, when we look on the Far East, we see a much more conservative thinking. Ruby, sapphire, emerald, tanzanite of unheated state, more like a unheated ruby. Suddenly they are also looking for unheated tanzanites that already look the blue, the violetish blue color before it was unearthed, and also colored tanzanites. And we also see their spinels, mainly red spinels and pink spinels also, and tourmaline of Paraiba and indicolite. All the expensive ones are very in high demand, but again, looking for things that are considered as usual. In Europe, we see a kind of a mixture between the two worlds. On one hand, we see a ruby and sapphire and spinel still offered and savorites, and these are quite unique, quite traditional. But on the other hand, we see more requests for pastel colors, for these light, highly saturated colors. And this is also leading us to the next trend that we are identifying, which is an age-related trend. That millennials, we are talking about them a lot today, because they are actually the future. And they are actually, many of them, looking for gems of lighter colors, of the pastel colors, because for them, the deep red, deep blue, deep green of the ruby, sapphire, and emerald reminds them glass, reminds them something fake, unreal. And they are looking for the things that looks more natural. Now, this was what we see before the world changed apart for us, for all of us. And now we are talking about what's really happened right now. And we are talking mainly on Q1 and Q2. The information that we have here is mixed from our big data analysis and also from information that we gathered all around the media and from our connections around the world. So first of all, what was the COVID-19 impact on gem sales? So due to lockdown and the closed sky policies, we do not see buyers, not in the mines, not in the gem trade centers or jewelry trade centers. And because of that, the chain reaction of the sale of a gem is not even starting. The miners are actually reporting that they are flooded with stock and no one is coming to buy. Major gem events and shows around the world were canceled. Many others that were done at the end were actually virtually empty from visitors. I will just give one exception, which is Tucson 2020, that had a perfect timing before the outbreak in the Western world. And the wholesalers report that they are still working, still getting orders, but much smaller and much fewer than it was before the impact. On the other hand, online sales are flourishing. Large e-tailers, marketplaces, I prefer not to drop names here, but I can tell you that many of the famous gem online websites, the big ones, are reporting of very good sales. The interesting thing is that they are looking mainly for set jewels. And the reason for it is that the people are at home. They do not have the option to go to their jeweler to design what they are looking for. They prefer to buy the end product.
Yes. Okay.
But we are also trying to focus on color, which is our expertise. And in this case, we see that the color trends that are still going nicely in the market, of course, in lower intensity comparing to what we had before the outbreak, but we still see the pastel colors, the gray colors, and the teal that are still being offered. And all of these together are pointing into one thing. The young designers, those that already are swimming perfectly in the online world, they are doing well right now. Another trend that we are identifying is that many people are looking for the high-end goods, the rich people. They know that now it is a very good time to buy something that can be a good investment for selling later after a few years. And we see many successful auction results of the classic high-end goods, ruby, sapphire, emerald, and Paraíba tourmaline. These four are gems that the buyers believe that their prices cannot fall distinctly, and they will probably be a good investment. In addition, we see that many of the sales are also of prestige jewels of top brands. For example, we can see here in the image a Tutti Frutti Cartier's bracelet that was sold on Sotheby's 2 weeks ago for $1.3 million. And this is the highest price ever in any auction house for an online auction of an item. And this also reflects for us the change for the online now. Everything is moving online, and people are willing now to buy even at online for imaginable numbers. On the other hand, we see that all the brick and mortar stores, especially those that are dealing with medium and lower tier goods, experience substantial slowdown. No people in the streets, and people also are very cautious with their money. Okay, so now we are moving to what's going on in post-COVID-19 era. What will happen after that? Now, in Hebrew, we have a phrase saying that the prophecy was given to fools. So let us be fools and try to assess what will happen. And we are trying to work very systematically. We will look on it by comparing it to reactions of the market to other crises that were during the history and the behavior of the market after that. And also we will look on the China model, which is already in its first steps after the COVID-19, and we can see the reaction over there. So the expected trends are that we believe that there will be a sharp increase in sales. When it will happen, we are not sure. Usually the jewelry sector is acting a little bit slower comparing to other sectors. probably because it's a luxury. But we believe that people that were locked down for a lot of time will probably try to compensate themselves for the lockdown time and will try to buy some jewels. If we are looking on China, for example, we already see that there is a rise in demands. Currently, it's still for lower price goods. Probably people are still cautious with their money, but it's already starting there. And the people that can really enjoy these lower price sales will be those that are working with shorter supply chain and need to give less coupons through the pipeline. Menachem, would you like to elaborate a little bit about how people usually react to this crisis and what do you believe will happen?
When since prophecy was given to fools, and I'm a fool,
this is why I chose you.
I can try. What we saw is practically always was like that in my 45 years experience. Every time there was a crisis, whether it was the diamond crisis in 1979, and then 86, and then 96, and then 2001, the horrible Twin Tower disaster, and the crisis in 2008. While we were in the crisis, there was quite harm done to the industry, etc. Afterwards, people somehow want to compensate the time that they were sad. And will this happen now with the corona? I really don't know, but we feel that this is going to happen because the feeling is that the market is sort of is frozen, and once it will start defreezing, as things will start moving, there'll be a demand. We have an example here, and a friend of mine also from China, in Israel, 3 of the shops, of the jewelry shops, decided to open with a special permit, etc. They were full with customers. People came because they heard it's open. People still will get married, and now they are not letting them to have parties. And maybe the ladies will want to be compensated for the fact that nobody bought them anything, and then they'll accept that. But I feel that it's going to take time, but it's going to go ahead and be good. The thing is, I think there are differences in the colors, as we said, and by no means we didn't mean that Pantone color, for example, are not important. They are extremely important, and they point at certain colors that can be in a trend, and they're usually very successful. And many times we found that the fact that Pantone pointed out at a certain color, especially in the past, and pinks and others, this was the trend later, because the combination, as Gary said, of the clothing plus the stones that will match it, etc., etc. So Pantone is very important. We are talking more here from the scientific side of it. The scientific, I should say, analysis of what's happening. So we are, for us, Pantone or any other group that may decide on a certain color, we analyze how the effect of this Pantone color affected the market, and we analyze the colors that we see. And in fact, we saw that in the blue, for example, they were certainly pushed to the blue. But apart from Pantone, there is suddenly Lady Diana and suddenly the other lady that suddenly can point the market into that. I believe with my experience and our partners' experience around the world, and we spoke to people, including you, Gary. You told me that you believe that it's going to take time, but it's going to be, I can't say okay, but I think it's going to go forward and go back to what it was. It will take time.
Right.
I will just
think, Gary.
Sorry. Well, for the ICA, I know that we are looking forward, especially 2021. We've got our Congress in Shenzhen, China. And to go along with what Guy said about the shorter supply chain, that's exactly what we're focusing on. We're going to China. We're meeting with the market there. Everybody is reinventing their business to add more online. So it's not going to be business as usual, and we're going to be looking at the future and specifically China.
No doubt in my mind that the online business that was going up 4% or 5% a year, I think jumped now tremendously, and the future is going to be a very, very strong combination between online and offline. And I think that this is going to be a trend. But anyway, this would have happened even without the corona. But the corona, because people were at home, they got used to watch things, watch seminars, and also see their goods on the internet. And I think, Kobe, do you feel that there are more sales? You are selling more on the internet now than you were before?
You are muted.
Muted. No.
For sure, I see certainly in this time, in the last 2 months, the communication via the internet, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, whether it's on your own website, there's bigger communication and a lot more sales. But it's not that, I can say that there has been in the last 2 months a lot more sales, but certainly from the internet, it came much more than what before. Everything has changed.
Thank you. Thank you, Kobe. I would like also to hear Gary about ICA members from China. What they are reporting, how they are experiencing the new world that already started on their area.
Well, fortunately, they've started to open up, which is great to hear. But business in Hong Kong and mainland China has been very slow because of the lack of travel and the restrictions that they have for quarantine. And now that some of these restrictions are being relaxed, we're starting to see business pick up, not only in the wholesale end, but in the retail end, slowly, not in big chunks, but slowly. And I think it's going to happen a little bit faster in the next 3 or 4 months if everything stays the same, the way they've been able to handle the lockdown and be able to handle the social distancing. It's really a guessing game at this point as to how well they are going to fare. But we're looking towards them as the example. It seems they have some experience with this, so let's hope that we can follow their experience.
Guy, I think we should start answering people.
We will get into it in a minute. I would just conclude that what we talked before is probably going to reflect what everyone said here. We are probably will see in the first few months less traffic on street, less interpersonal sales, more focus on online sales. And if we're talking about colors, we are entering summer in the northern side of the globe. And usually when we are getting into summer, the colors that are leading the fashion industry are warmer colors, orange, red, green, things that are usually related more to blossom, to some kind of a new development, new attractive colors. So I believe that these are the colors that are going to be the key colors in this time. We got to the end of our presentation. So first of all, thank you very much for all of you that were together with us today. We will now answer questions that people have. So please use the Q&A feature to send us the questions. I will just mention that we broke our record regarding several people at the same time in the room, and we reached more than 300 people at the same time.
328.
And yes, and this is quite amazing. thank
Yes.
you all for being with us today. And we want also to, once you are sending us your Q&A, we will also to give you something back. So we are offering our Gemi price, our colored stones and diamonds grading and pricing system. We are offering the annual subscription with 20% discount. And also we are offering you 30% discount on our courses for online grading and pricing for colored stones and for colored diamonds. The online courses and the annual subscription offer will be sent to all of you tomorrow with in email with the direct links to get it.
Question.
And let's move to the questions. So let's start. First of all, I have here not a question, a statement. Antoinette Matlin saying that the Yogo sapphires, also that at least the ones that she have, doesn't have a green undertone and they look like fabulous Burma blue sapphires. And it's true, there are also amazing things that can get from the Yogo mine. We are talking about the unique colors that were there. And this is why people are...
Some of the colors that came out of there really were amazing. We were cutting them, by the way. Yes.
Now, okay. Okay, moment, let me find. Okay. Where does Aquamarine Santa Maria colors fall in the color chart? So Menachem, I will open the Gemi price and give you the lead to show exactly where are the colors. One moment. Okay. Do you see my screen?
Yeah, I see your screen.
Okay, let me just open Aquamarine.
Aquamarine. Go to the value chart. Now, you can go to, let's say, the third from the left. Yes, this one, if you click on it. Slow.
Yes, very slow.
Okay.
Oh, we broke the record, so maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. For example, if I will go and show you the what we call the first row on the left, the whole up and down row. Yeah, these ones. To the low, you don't find these colors usually, but on top there, these are not considered still the perfect colors, the color that we are looking for. But if we are looking here, starting from about the AAA here, which is on the first row on the top, and down, those colors all the way to the right, to the gems, can actually reach these colors. Some people may think that this is an exaggeration of the color. They are right, but we certainly did see colors that were actually those colors. The very, very dark ones are very rare, and not all of them are really, pretty. But if we are looking at all the area here that is called gem, which is the first two on top, and 3 on the second row, and 3 on the third row, you are talking about this color, which is mainly found in Santa Maria, Brazil, but also today, as Kobe said, found in Mozambique, found in Nigeria. You can move left or right with the...
I will just add here regarding the scientific mapping that Santa Maria colors, comparing to classic gem quality aquamarine, is that Santa Maria also have some level of darkness together with the saturation.
Yes, yes. Can you move just left one side and right one side? You see also these colors here, the first two on top and the three colors here. Lower there practically don't exist, but we did have some stones this color, if you remember, Kobe. You know, these very, very dark colors. Very rare, of course, very small usually, but starting from about the AAA on the first row on top, and then the AAA and the second row, these all are considered Santa Maria colors. And can you go to the right one side and again to right one side too, because we need to see the other colors. So in fact, we are talking about aquamarine colors, but with really depth. For example, those three on top will also be considered Santa Maria, and also the two on top. If you see on the right there, the two on top will be considered Santa Maria. Some people will not love these colors because they say it's too much green in it, but greenish blue. But even those colors usually can be heated and become pure blue. But many people like this touch of greenish color in it, and they still call it Santa Maria. Okay.
Okay, I will give a few questions here rapidly because the answers are very easy to answer. Kashish, yes. Can we study fancy color diamond grading through distance education, means online? Yes, the course is online, and we are sending you books and gem samples, and all your coursework is being monitored by a dedicated teacher. Another question that we have here from Sripada Chintalapati. What does the tool do? So we need to be more
Can we show analysis of the color here?
One moment, Menachem. Just let me explain. When we are talking about tool, we are talking about many tools. Gemewizard offers a suite of tools. We are offering GemiPrice, which is a product that is being used by jewelers and appraisers around the world to grade and price their gems and diamonds. We have also the GemiPro system, which is a system that giving more elaborated color palettes of color, and also offering this auto analysis of image that we use to have. And we have our online courses that we already mentioned. There is a question here that I think Gary and Menachem maybe can answer. Since typical supply chains are interrupted, do you expect prices of existing gem stocks to stay the same or to increase in price?
Oh, that's a great question, and it's with everything. It's not just with gemstones, it's with everything, because the supply chains for pretty much anything has changed. I couldn't even begin to tell you. I would not expect prices to change, but because people may need cash right away, maybe there is a possibility that prices will change. But I don't see any change personally. I don't see any change.
But even if some traders needs cash right now, it will be probably a very short term of low prices, and then it will already come back.
I think, if you allow me to say, I think that people don't realize that it's very nice to say, you know, people need money, etc., but you also need money to mine the stones in Africa and elsewhere. So whatever will happen, people still need money to mine, and that means that there'll be a shortage in certain stones because they won't have the money to mine it for a while. So I don't believe that there are going to be drop in the prices. We don't see it happening. We don't see people suddenly offering crazy low prices, and in our analysis, we don't see it. There is less demand, yes. However, as we saw with African people that we know, partners in Africa, miners, etc., that their situation is in a thing that you thought that they will have now millions of carats because they are not selling. No, they don't have millions of carats because they are not mining. The thing is that they actually sold whatever they have and they don't have the money now to mine. So I think that this is some kind, as Gary said, some kind of a balancing thing that will keep the prices. I believe it will be the same and probably in the future have the regular path that it takes.
Yes. Thank you, Roger, for the question. The next question is by Craig. With more transaction online, will we see an increase in fraud of synthetics and treated gems being sold as undisclosed? I will answer. I believe, Menachem, you would like to elaborate about it also.
Yeah, well,
let me a little bit give a explanation about what we are doing. One of the projects the Gemewizard offers today for big companies, especially marketplaces and big selling platforms, is the ability to identify frauds within their listings. And we did a very big project with a leading marketplace about it.
We're still doing it with others.
We are still doing it with others, yes. And we found that there will always be someone that offering something in a way that will be either tricky wording or not fully disclosed. Whether moving online will see an increase, it's, you know, it has two different ways to look at it, because if everything is moving online, also protection is being developed and become better to identify. And I can tell you that if I need to compare several websites that we worked with them, some that uses some level of filtering of information is allowing to reduce the amount of undisclosed cases. Did they clear it all? For sure not. We found, even after their filtering, many issues, and we pointed for them about it. Whether it will be more or less, I believe it will actually be less.
Well, this is something that we've been doing for the last, I don't know, 6 years, helping major entities to filter problematic or unusual demand for
oddities.
Oddities, we called it oddities. The thing is that, as somebody told me, you know, you can, if somebody is dishonest, he can have his stones in jewelry sent to the GIA, make a certificate, amazing certificate, everything was okay. After the certificate, take the center stone, change it into synthetic stones, exactly the same size, and here it is. And we did see these things happening, Guy, in front of our very eyes. After the people certainly had a very good certificate and they changed. So I think that online is always problematic. However, is it not problematic also from a store? Also, a store can have a problem with it, etc. Of course, when you buy it through major platforms, they protect you, and if something happens, you know, you can get your money back, etc. Same thing, I think, will happen if you buy it in a store. However, if you buy it from somebody you don't know on the internet, tough luck.
Yeah.
Tough luck.
The next question is by Abai from India. And he is saying that AA, AAA define a grade in gemstones, which is a kind of a mixture of color and clarity. And he also asked about the price difference between the grades. I will start by saying that our system shows B, A, AA, AAA, and gem for the colors. But we know that in some cases, when the clarity is very low, even if the color is very good, it cannot get a certain grade. So the answer is yes and no. It could be also an effect of clarity to define the
Yes,
the
but
grade.
let's not forget that our system actually, you actually grade the color, and then you grade the clarity, and then you grade the cut, and then you get the combination of things. So
Of
you
course.
can't say this is a AAA because, I don't know, it was a clean stone and the color is okay. For us, the meaning of AAA is only on the color. And then we grade separately the clarity, the cut, and the carats, of course. And then the combination of those aspects of the stone creates you a certain value. We don't sort of value a certain color because a AAA is supposed to be always clean. Because it can be an amazing Burma ruby, which is pigeon blood, costing you $100,000 a carat for a 10-carat stone, which has got quite a lot of inclusions inside. So what will you say? It's included? No, we grade the color, we talk about the clarity, the cut, etc., and the fact that how important the color is, or how is it called, and the location. Okay.
Okay. The
Another
next question is how much price difference makes this grade? Again, from Abai, I don't want to get into this. I just will explain in one sentence. It depends on the gem. It's changing. Every gem has its own price charts. You can see it in our Gemi price. Every gem has its own price chart and its own price jumps between different grades, between different sizes, etc.
Yes.
Lean is asking, with Gemi price, what do you use to photograph a sample gem to use the most accurate comparison with your software's color charts? So, Lynn, I will give you, first of all, the GIA scientific suggestion, and after that, I will give you the Gemewizard approach. GIA is saying that if you want to photograph your gem, you need to use a color that is called daylight. It is a fluorescent color of 5,500 Kelvin. This is the natural daylight, the exactly median neutral daylight. And it should be non-flickering with low UV. Now, before we are changing you to a scientist at the store and looking for the exact bulb, I'll tell you that you already have the best camera in the world, which is your eye. And what you need to do is to photograph the gem and look at it and compare it to the gem that you are holding in your hand and see if it actually reflects the exact color that you see. It's not, it will never be exact, but it should be the closest you can.
And let's not forget that we compare the color that a person is holding in the hand to the screen. The screen also has to be monitored, and we have some tools that we give. I mean, we have some stones, sample stones, that the person can fix the screen to be as close as possible. Is it perfect? No. But as Guy said, our eye, comparing to the screen of your computer, in our laboratory, we do it with two screens, which we fine tune and see. Is it perfect? No. Even if you have 3 people in front of one screen with Gemewizard or even with Masterstone, the 3 people may choose a slightly different thing. But in the Gemewizard system that has got close to 7,000 colors, so you chose a closer color. It's certainly better than saying very nice deep red. You're actually showing approximately the area of the color. It's certainly better, especially for the internet, because not the image that you are referring to. You're referring to the Gemewizard color that you, the owner of the stone, found to be representing the color.
I have here a question by Adolfo de Basilio. Hola, Adolfo. How are you, sir? Could we have CIBJO as the police to give some kind of certification to the online sales? I don't know if this could work. Could you give us your opinion? Gary, would you like to answer it?
Well, there are so many different challenges to be the police in any industry. And our industry has several areas in which we could use the police, but none of the associations are really, including Sibjo, are not really geared towards that end of the business. We really need to police ourselves. And that's really one of the reasons why the ICA started, was so that the ICA members could sort of police what happens within our own organization. And that's really how these things work best.
Okay, I also would like to say that, in fact, well, he calls it police, but that's exactly what we did for several years with millions of items, as you remember. We actually checked it automatically, and then also with our IT team. It was the checking of the contextual aspects and the oddities that a person, if somebody is asking for an emerald from Colombia, amazingly natural, 10 karat, $500 total, I should say something is wrong, because this stone, according to Gemewizard, is $25,000 at least per carat. So something is very wrong. So the system can say, hello, this person is asking a crazy, you know, there is some oddity in what he's saying. So this kind of policing can be done, and we are doing it. We can do an agreement with Sibjo or with ICA or whatever, to give that the person can go into the system and actually see whether it's logical what the person is asking, comparing to the color, the size, the quality, etc. And we are doing it. We finished the system to plan it about, I don't know, about almost a year ago, and it's ready. We can do it. Is it really policing? No. As Gary said, you know, you can't actually police, but it gives the trading platform or whatever some kind of tool to be able to say, look, this kind of a person, this person here has got too many oddities. Something is wrong. The person is selling, as Guy once found, 1 carat diamond, blue, natural, 102 for $900. I told Guy, buy it, we are going to be rich, because this is $1 million stone. And then we found that the person made a small mistake. It was, what was it? Moissanite-like blue natural diamond. And he actually sold it as a natural diamond. So, c'est la vie. We can actually point at problems, and this is the kind of policing that we can do, but it has to be together with the institute or with the organization, just to give a tool for people to know.
I would like,
if I may, I think that today in online sales, the buyer is required to be much smarter, and he has the tool to do it. And I think that ICA, and Gary, you can also vouch for that, that you have the accredited member that is basically a plan to give the confidence to the buyer that he is buying from someone that is legit, that is displaying, you know, and disclosing all that is needed to be disclosed. And this plan is like this step to help the buyer buy smartly and correctly and not fraud or anything.
Yes.
Exactly. Thanks, Kobe. Thank you very much for bringing that up. The accredited ethical member status is something that we have just launched, and all of our members who are AEMs and selling online, obviously you have this a much more comfortable way of buying stones online. Thank you very much for bringing that up.
I would like, if you can, Gary, give us in 2 sentences. We mentioned here too many times police. I would like if you can give us 2 sentences about the code of ethics of ICA members and why the organization is so important for the industry.
2 sentences for me is pretty tough, but let's see if I can
Too long
extend
ones.
this sentence. So You're absolutely correct. The ethics policy of the ICA and the standards that we hold high of all of our members is to disclose all of the information that someone would normally need to make a solid purchase. And because of the way that we are structured, all of our members abide by these rules. They follow the code of ethics. Anytime you purchase something from an ICA member, you'll get the full disclosure. You'll know exactly what you're buying. And that's the reason why ICA became the organization that it did. And as Kobe mentioned, we have a new accredited ethical member category for our members who want to tell the public and tell the buyer that we actually have a code of ethics and a standards that we adhere to. And whether it's disclosure or whether it's, what do I want to say here? Sustainability, looking at all the proper business practices, that's what the ICA really stands for.
I think that, as Kobe said and you said just now, the combination between this internal agreement of all your ICA members to be honest. In fact, that's what it means. It means, you know, I vouch to be honest because I'm part of the International Colored Soda Association and I've got commitment here. What we are doing here with the Gemewizard or the Gem Color Guru, what we call, we will also give the ICA members and also the other people using it the tools to show that they are honest. You know what I mean? I mean, a lady can say, I'm very pretty, and I promise to be pretty, but she has to look pretty. And the same thing here, we are vouching to be honest. Okay, let me show you that we are explaining all the qualities in the right way. We are actually committing for a certain color. We are committing for a certain location, etc. And it's all measured all the time. Because fair enough, ICA people know that the members of ICA are honest because you don't accept anybody that nobody else vouch for. And this, what you are doing now is really amazing. But I think to give the ICA also this tool that the world will be able to see you through the tool, that is very important, in my opinion.
There is a question here, actually, that continuing what Menachem just said, I will answer it briefly. Is there any tool in your software to detect if an uploaded image is Photoshop to enhance color? So I will tell you, first of all, we do not have this tool, but we do have the capability to identify that something is wrong if someone is offering a gem for a perfect color, perfect information, everything is okay, but we automatically estimated the price much lower so we can understand that something is wrong. Maybe the image is Photoshop, maybe other properties were changed.
It suddenly jump to you and say price oddity, and because the analysis that will come, it will bring it, analysis will bring it close to a certain quality of stone for that size. So it's not only the color analysis, but it's what we call contextual analysis. That means you're talking about this color in tourmaline, you should be talking about $200 a carat. You can't, unless you are an idiot, which some of them are, you can't be selling it for $10. By the way, we sometimes find really crazy oddities and the person was actually selling. But when we actually bought some of the things that we thought, 28 items that we bought with the permission of the things, 28 items that we identified that has got some oddities, and now 26 of them were actually misleading and really fraud. 2 of them were just crazy ladies somewhere in the United States who decided to sell their sapphire for 1/10 of the price. What can I do?
Okay, and last question for today.
Yes.
By Teal Agarwal. Do you think the market for high-end jewelry will see a decline in sales post-COVID-19 situation?
What do you think, Gary?
The high-end material is always going to be high-end. I think the popularity of it
it's
is
always
gonna
going up,
stay.
right, Gary?
Yeah, it's always got a
There
are only so many of these stones and pieces of jewelry. It's a finite product.
COVID-19 or no COVID-19, you offer now a 10-carat Burma ruby at Christie's, you'll have 10 buyers, no problem.
Kobe, what do you think?
The thing that was affected is the mid qualities that was a little bit quiet, but it
You're
will
muted.
come back too.
You are
Kobe,
always
do
muted.
you see a big demand for finest quality goods still?
Story of my life. My wife that mutes me, but now it's me. Yes.
What do you think?
I definitely agree. I agree to what Gary and Menachem said. Yeah.
That it's going to, the expensive stones
It will
still
increase
going
more
to
and
sell
more and
very
more.
nicely.
Well, the expensive stones are always something that is like parallel. It doesn't. I mean, it does affect. I mean, the market does affect it, but it's very difficult to know because these are times that no one has encountered really. I think time will tell us more than speculation.
But I think that rich people, unless they will die from the corona, will continue to buy. That's what I believe.
Okay. Before we're finishing for today, Gary, would you like a little bit just to mention again the ICA Congress next year?
Yes, we're planning the next Congress, 2021, in Shenzhen, China. We are still working on finalizing the dates of the Congress, but sort of earmark your calendar to make sure you're traveling to China. It's going to be an incredible event because they are working on making sure that those who attend the Congress will have access and meet the people in the China market. Translations, no problem. So it's going to be one of the spectacular events of 2021. Really looking forward to it. Make sure you keep it on your calendar and watch for the ICA website to give you more information.
Will do.
Thanks.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you, all of you. We still have 150 people in the room.
Yeah,
so thank you, everyone.
Guys, did you see the compliments that we are getting all the time? Excellent, excellent, amazing.
I will look at it after that. Thank you very much for everyone.
And we will send, I think we will upload later the email and the information of Gary and everyone. So anyone that has questions besides
we will attach it to the follow-up email that everyone will get together with the benefits that we promised.
Interest at the ICA, Gary, so you should follow up with that. So
thank you all. Thank you very much.
Gary, continue with the great work with ICA.
Thank you all.
And those that are still under lockdown, stay safe, take care. And we hope to see you in the next Gem event that will actually happen.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Guys. Bye-bye.